All right, we're back on Morning Line. More calls coming in for Dr. Friday as we're talking about taxes. Yeah, it's not close to April yet.
I know.
But, you know, she's saying get on it. And we've got some great questions this morning. We got enough time to take a bunch of these if you want to jump in. Let's go to Michelle. Hi, Michelle.
Hi, Nick. How you doing?
Good morning to you, ma'am. What's on your mind?
I've come across the first thing. My daughter entered college. I need to know, I was told I could count her college books off, but also she has an anxiety problem and cannot drive and does not drive and is on medication. Can we count the gas money off for taking her to and from school?
I think that would be difficult. If you were to do it, it would have to be under the medical, on your itemizing under the Schedule A, if that would be at all, you know, allowed as medical miles to be able to get her back and forth to school. It would not be anything for the educational credit. I'm assuming she's a dependent of yours, so you'll still be able to claim that. And there may be, depending on your income, you may still get some sort of educational credit for the books and things that you are funding out of the pocket, as long as she's not on grants or getting money from the school. So, you know, you'll probably get some educational credit. If you were to do the miles, I would do it under the medical, because theoretically you are transferring her back and forth, but it's not for medical procedures, so that would be the gray area. I would definitely get a note from a doctor, and you may already have it, that says that she's unable to drive.
Okay, and as far as under education, could she claim the books?
Definitely. Books and any lab fees or anything like that that she might have to be paying out of her own pocket.
Okay, because I was wondering, the truth is, I remember the old days of buying that, like that Riverside edition of Shakespeare. It was like huge, and it was a fortune. Nowadays, though, I think, I'm guessing most college students these days, it's the Kindle, it's all electronic. You're not buying books as much.
We buy them iPads when they go in,
right.
Everything's electronic. They rent the books for a period of time, they can highlight them, everything else, and
that's the way they go now, so maybe it's not as expensive. Yep. Let's go to Margie next. Margie, hi, go ahead.
Good morning.
Good morning to you.
Good morning.
My question is, my husband and I have been filing taxes. Even though we don't owe any money, we still file.
Okay.
And this year, we've sold a small piece of land.
Okay.
And I'm sure that's reportable.
Mm-hmm. It would be capital gains. If it's been held for more than a year, it'd be long term. If less than a year, it'd be short term. You'll need to pull out the original HUD, or if you inherited the land, something that would give you what your original cost basis was for the land, and then the difference would be what you sold it for, and that would be the profit. And it could be 0% tax, because depending if you have, sounds like you have a fairly fixed lower income, if you're within the 10 to 15 after the sale of that piece of land, you could have a 0% tax still on it. We have 0% capital gains for people in the 10 to 15 bracket.
How long do I have to report that? I understand that if you have intentions of reinvesting that in property, you didn't have to report it.
No, that is incorrect. That was back, goodness, that was probably 15, 20 years ago, where we used to be able to buy a home, and as long as you reinvested within 2 years, that existed. It never happened on investment properties. There is what's called a 1031 exchange. I would probably not suggest this unless this is a very large profit on this particular piece of land, and you do plan to reinvest it for more investments. Otherwise, it's expensive is the reason I'm saying that, and you could end up paying 0 tax and then be able to reinvest it all anyways. So.
I sometimes hear, you know, especially among seniors, that they will file, and I think she mentioned this, but some people, they file anyway, even though if they don't. Is there any advantage to filing, even if you have no income, if you're not getting anything back, but you're not paying anything? Why, is there some reason why you should file each year anyway?
I think most of it is they've been trained well, and they've told every year I file a tax return, and I do, and there's always that fear that maybe if I don't file, I'll miss something as far as I should have filed that year because things, but there's really no advantage, or there's no credits out there that they could get refunded at this point. No, it's a great question though, because
so a lot of people do it, and I wasn't sure why. Let's go to Tiffany. Hi, Tiffany.
Hi, how are you?
Good. How can we help you?
Well, I have a son who's in college. This is going to be his, next coming up here is going to be his junior year. Okay. In January, we have to fill out his FAFSA.
Right.
He works on the college campus, so he has a job there. So I'm trying to find out, do I still need to claim him on my taxes, or should he file his own taxes to put that on FAFSA, or how we need to do all of that.
What did she call it? Put it on what?
FAFSA.
I'm sorry, she knows that and I don't. What is that?
That's where every parent gets to know those initials very quickly. It's the federal funding where you go in and you have to put in all your things and find out how much money they're going to give you in educational funds.
Oh, okay.
For your
I remember
child.
that. It was called something different. But it's financial aid forms and all that. Yeah, I went through that same thing. Sure. Oh, come on.
They didn't have it on computers in your day.
When I was around back then, I mean, I don't know if you should do this. My parents, we finally sat down and decided, okay, what should we do? Should we keep claiming him? They gave up the exemption by claiming him because by me claiming independence,
you got more.
I didn't make anything, so I got more financial aid.
And we do that a lot with our clients many times because of their income being just middle class. They end up being penalized to a point the child can't get as much wear. So that's what I was going to suggest to her. Most likely, if he's wanting, I mean, the most funds will come if he's been employed. Do it under him, lose the exemption, let him claim it. He'll get the educational credit, he'll get the refunds against or whatever. But, you know, she will lose she'll lose the exemption, which is almost $4,000 plus possibly the educational credit of $1,500. You know, that could
That's where you have to balance it and see, will he get more because of not being claimed?
And I would actually probably wait to file my taxes until I actually went in there. You can go into FAFSA and go ahead and work it both ways to find out what they're willing to give you and then file your taxes, because they give you a window of time to be able to pull them. You can have them prepared both ways, e-file it, and within 48 hours, I think you can pick it up in FAFSA.
Okay. Yeah, it's good. It's something to think about with that. It's always exciting when we get that offer. Back then, it was in the mail from the government and trying to figure out, what am I going to get? You get a little work study, you get a Pell Grant, you get a low-interest loan, and that's how I made it through college.
Awesome.
And I paid back every cent on those loans.
Yes, well, I did too.
You know, and some people, in the early days, they had lousy records, and people walked away from those loans, which is wrong. And the only reason I was able to make it through college was because I had low-interest loans. Yeah. I wanted to pay it back so that I could pay it forward to other people, like her son that needs it.
There you go.
Let's go to James. Hi, James.
Yes, hello, how are you?
Good morning.
What I'm calling about is I had a spell in October of 2013, and I have not been able to work since then. We paid taxes that year. My wife sits with a lady, and she doesn't pay no taxes, and she just writes her a check every week. And she basically made $20,000 last year. We went to a tax preparer. He said we didn't owe no taxes, but she owed over $2,000 in a
self-employment
Social Security.
Yeah.
And the question is, she told us to not, if we couldn't pay it, to just not file, and we didn't. So this year, back in several months ago, I went and applied for my disability. Is that going to have any effect on that? And will they come after us for her not paying the Social Security? That's the only income we got. We got a daughter still lives at home with us. It's slow and is not able to work, and she doesn't draw anything. So it's three of us basically living on $20,000 a year.
Right.
Wow. Okay.
I mean, two things. If you have a daughter at home that is disabled, then you would still qualify. I don't know how old, but you may qualify for some credits, disability credits that are out there. And if you're disabled, I mean, I'll be honest, I'm not comfortable. If she's working, she may want to go back to the person that's being paid. Theoretically, that person should be taking household taxes out. Self-employment tax should be being paid by the person that she's watching. I know you don't want to rock that boat because obviously it's your only real income. So therefore, yeah, you need to be filing taxes. You need to be paying in on those taxes. You may be able to be put in non-collectible because your income's so low that you may be able to delay the payments on those until maybe your disability and everything kicks in and there's a little extra money. I honestly think that you should be paying. She needs to have Social Security paid in case she needs it someplace later in life. And if anything ever come up, that money's being deposited in a bank account. If that woman's ever audited, she's probably possibly writing it off as medical care because she's sitting with her. It just doesn't make, it's not a very comfortable situation when somebody is being paid. Theoretically, she could gift them that money, and if they want to get a gifting letter from her saying, we're gifting you this money, that's fine, but this lady's going in, watching this woman, and she's being, it's a job.
Yeah, it's a job.
And it needs to be treated like a job. It needs taxes paid. The IRS can find out about this. There's many different ways to do that.
I was going to say,
it's just risky. And do you really want that there? And, especially when you have, she's the only breadwinner, you need to have that job. You don't want to put that at risk. So in my opinion, you need to be filing those taxes. That wasn't a licensed tax person. That was not an enrolled agent that gave you that kind of advice. That was somebody that's putting numbers on a tax return, and it was really bad advice, to be honest. Scary advice.
Good. Thank you for laying that out. Fran, real quick, we only have a few, like a minute. Do you have a 30-second question?
Oh, yeah.
Real quick. What is it? Go right to the point.
I had just talked to a lady a few minutes ago, and I forgot to mention that I thought $68 a month. $68 a week for unemployment. That changes things, right?
Oh, yeah, she's the one that called earlier.
So
yeah.
you're drawing, there's $5,200. If you're drawing $100 a week, let's just use simple math, that would be $5,200 plus the 4, it would still be under $10,000.
Yeah.
So, Fran, you should still be safe. I'm not going to tell you, put all your tax documents together, get ready to go in and prepare to do taxes. But it sounds like to me, again, your exemption and your standard deduction is about $10,000, $9,800. You're going to be spot on right around that number. Actually, I think it'd be a little less if it's only $68 a week and I'm basing it on 100. I think you'll be fine. I really do.
You're some kind of math savant. She's good with numbers, isn't she? Hey, well, give him your phone number. Where are you at?
615-367-0819. We're in Brentwood, Tennessee. Or just check out the web, drfriday.com.
drfriday.com. She's really good. It's so nice to see you. Thank you for coming on. It's been a while, and we'll certainly have you in the new year.
Cool.
You know, as we get
maybe
closer
I'll have
to taxes.
some actual tax changes. So
yeah, maybe. I hope, and hopefully they've renewed some of these exemptions that you said right now have not yet been.
Yeah, we'll hope
You're
so.
terrific. Thanks for coming on. Take a break. Be back. Wrap things up. Programming note about tomorrow right after this. Stay with us.